But when you really look at the numbers, there's a reason schools keep making these moves. The upside of getting the right coach in place can be worth far more than even an 8-figure buyout. So AJ, what's the real financial logic that drives a school to make a change even when the buyout is massive?
Well, the quick answer there is that a successful coach, as compared to an average coach, drives an incremental $20 to $35 million per year just in athletics at your top programs. But,
Wow.
There's more to it, right? I think we all know there's some caveats there.
Yeah, and I mean, that ties directly into the timing element too, because the flip side is the cost of not acting. I'd love for you to touch on what's the real cost of indecision here. Don't be afraid to get into details.
All right. I appreciate that invitation because I'm at risk of getting into serious details. But, one of the things is that it's not overnight, right? There's a slow slide, down that sort of scale, and you don't turn on the floodgates immediately either. There are examples, I guess, Colorado, and we had them on this podcast, so people can comb through our library and find that interview with Rick George, but that instantly paid for itself and yielded the kind of numbers I just shared. But on average, it's the risk of sliding down and then the slow road back. Certainly in an environment where the cost structure is increasing so much, right? There's $20 million a year. These top programs are now paying directly to athletes. It's not like they instantly found 20 million more in revenue this year. So yeah, bad time to go backwards, basically.
Yeah, and we know that from our research that the difference between a 7-win team and a 10-win team can be in as much as $50 million in exposure value annually across broadcast and earned media for the institution. I mean, when a team wins, that exposure really can jump 20 to 40% year over year as they get placed on more high-profile linear windows. But I kind of want you to talk about this cost of indecision. What's facing universities from a macroeconomic level? I want you to talk about the demographic cliff, drops in enrollment for less attention and investment given to athletics. What is facing leaders in college athletics and institutions around the country right now that keeps them up at night?
I don't think there's a ton of indecision. We're breaking records this year with how early people are being let go. But what keeps them up at night, when we talk about 20 to 35 million incremental per year with a great coach versus an average performance, that's not counting things like fundraising at the university overall or esprit de corps, on campus. You shared research with me just recently, that at these major conferences, 90+% of the student population feels athletics is critical or, very important, right, to the culture and atmosphere of the university. I'm not talking about the media exposure they earn. So I'm not doing fuzzy math and saying, they earn media equivalency of this many millions of dollars of advertisements he'd buy. This is all in addition to what I'm describing when I say 20 to 35 million per year. I'm also not talking about enrollment. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole we can end up going down. But for the first time in many generations, enrollment is already on the way down in a lot part of the country, and it's going to get worse because of size of population and intent to go to college. So, this is basically how they balance their books when the states come short on funding every year, right? Rise in tuition or increase enrollment. So the problem becomes much bigger than 20 to 35 million per year when you count the full influence and effect, that athletics has on a whole university.